What is the most humiliating awkward situation that you have ever witnessed in a classroom? Some of these comments made me cringe. Thanks to all of you who have posted stories, and thanks for brightening my shitty Monday.
Silent scan.
10th grade Chem, girl with Tourette's in our class, first day. Her tics were exceptionally odd, mostly high-pitched chirps, sometimes weird cartoon-sounding noises. It's pretty hard to describe, and I was sitting in a row with her. On the first day most of the class knew of her and thus didn't really react. But one of my friends 2 rows up just kept looking around and saying, "What is that?" And I guess no one had the heart to answer directly because the girl was sitting right there. Her squeals kept getting worse and worse because she was getting stressed out. It finally escalated to him semi-yelling to me, "Yo, what the FK is that shit?" Granted, these sounds were very, very weird and almost sounded like a rusty pipe squeaking or something. Little did he know our teacher was standing in the doorway. The girl finally ran out squealing her A off while the teacher ran after her. The whole class just sat there in stunned silence. Someone meagerly told my friend, "That girl has Tourette's." Pretty damn awkward, especially for the first day.
Silent scan.
Not sure if this counts because it was me. In high school I was at the board trying to do a geometry problem. I was bad at math, especially geometry, and the teacher, and the rest of the class, knew this. I was struggling when the rest of the students had returned to their seats. I continued to struggle as the teacher went through the other problems. Coming to me he tried to talk me through it. He was being very kind and patient, but I was not getting it. Finally I burst into tears and left the room. Later that day I was called to the dean's office where the teacher was waiting. He actually apologized and said he wouldn't send me to the board anymore. He tutored me for the rest of the year so I would pass. That's what you call a great teacher. I appreciate people like that.
Silent scan.
Senior year in HS health class. We get a police officer come and talk about random police stuff when he goes off about a kid from a local middle school that brought a gun to school, big news locally at the time, but then he discloses that after investigations they found out that he was frequently abused by his parents, which no one was aware of. Little does he know that the older brother is sitting right in front of him. The whole class sat awkwardly.
Silent scan.
In 5th grade during a test, one of the girls in the class asked to go to the bathroom. You could tell she had to go really bad. She had her legs in that about to let loose knot and her hand was over her crotch, the whole 9 yards. The teacher refused because we were taking a test. She pleaded. She begged. You could see her eyes straining to fight back tears, or maybe it was the urine leaking out because of some internal overflow. Anyway, he refused again. He told her to wait. 5 minutes later, we heard a gasp. Everybody looked up to where the girl was sitting, and we all saw a puddle on the floor under her desk. It slowly increased in size and, as it encroached slowly under other students' desks, the teacher instructed us to all get up and go outside. It was awful. That poor girl just sat at her desk with her head down as we all walked out of the room, half laughing and half gagging.
Silent scan.
Probably my own sad, sorry situation. I was in 6th grade in the 1980s, when everyone wore sweatpants, and they were the coolest thing ever. I didn't have any but found a pair at the bottom of my sister's closet. I'm a guy, but I figured gray sweats are gray sweats. I guess I should have checked them out more carefully, especially around the crotch area. Damn it. Anyway, I was sitting at my desk, chilling in my newfound sweats and my teacher, a giant of a man, looks over at me and says, "Bordert, are you bleeding?" I looked down and right then I understood all the rumors and innuendo about girls and their periods. I also now understood very clearly why my sister had hated those sweats. Bloodstained big as a roll of duct tape for the world to see. Nervous and flustered, I said, "No, Mr. D, I borrowed these from my sister." The whole class laughed and laughed and laughed.
Silent scan.
Teacher here. I was planning on showing a video clip to my class of high school seniors, but my computer for some reason wasn't displaying the video. So, as my students were trickling in, I noticed one of them had his computer on him. I asked if I could use it really quickly, and he said yes. At this point, my entire class of 20 or so kids were in. I hooked up his laptop to the projector, and go to download the video from my email. It finished downloading and starts up a video player automatically from his computer. I'm still not quite sure what happened, but I think he had a video player already up. Instead of playing the video clip I just downloaded, the entire screen, a monstrosity that took up the entire classroom wall, showed a very perky young lady fellatting 2 Asian men. Sloppy BJ noises and grunts echoed deafeningly in the silent classroom. I felt like everything was in slow-mo, but one student later told me I jumped to close the laptop with such quick desperation that it was like watching someone leap on top of a grenade. The owner of the laptop turned bright red, but both he and the whole class started laughing. I think in the end, I was the person who was most embarrassed. The kid even had the balls to say, "Miss Drakeling, I know that's not the first time you've seen that before." And then he winked. Speechless.
Silent scan.
In the middle of teaching Year 3 class, 7/8-year-olds, a kid comes back in from going to the toilet, sits down, and about a minute later shouts out, "Oh no. I forgot to wipe," and asks to go sort himself out. Totally lost my train of thought.
Silent scan.
Gym class, so not really a classroom, but I was good friends with the class clown in middle school who would do anything and everything for a bit of attention. Well, one day my friend decided to take one of his dad's Viagra before school, to see what would happen. Well, surprise surprise, he went through his day with a raging Woody, completely unashamed and proud of his accomplishment. That is, until gym class. As soon as we got to gym class, he realized that he had more than he bargained for, considering everything is visible in gym shorts. He tucked his little buddy up into his waistband and hoped for the best. Well, we had to do a high jump exercise that day that caused his shirt to lift up, displaying the tip of the little dude to everyone in class. Girls cried. Guys laughed. The teacher's jaw dropped. He was sent to the office and received a very stern lecture on what the principal bluntly called not being a dumb SS.
Silent scan.
In middle school I remember waiting for the car rider bell to ring, and my homeroom teacher was talking to two of my classmates, a boy and a girl. Now note, the boy had a little sister who died of cancer a few years ago. So anyways, the girl was telling my teacher how much time she would always spend at the boy's house, saying that she was almost like family. Then my teacher says, "So you're like the daughter they never had, huh?" Ooh, I still cringe just thinking about how silent it got after she said that.
Silent scan.
My 4th grade teacher was the worst teacher I've ever had. She wasn't just a bad teacher, she was a bad human being. There was one boy who was kind of the weird kid, but he was funny and I liked him. One day we were reading about bugs, and she called on him to read aloud a section about Antony. I knew the word Antony, knew how it was pronounced, so when he started reading it was obvious he'd never heard the word before. He pronounced it Antony, and instead of correcting him, our teacher just let him read a full page with this word repeating. I started watching her as he read, and she was smirking and trying to hold back laughter. When he finished reading, she said, "It's pronounced Antony, by the way," and the whole class, her included, just started laughing uproariously. He was a good sport and kind of laughed along with them, but I could tell he was really embarrassed. It's almost 20 years later and that memory is still so vivid to me. Another one was in freshman biology. The guy's voice cracked as he was answering a question, and he said, "Sorry, that keeps happening to me, I don't know why." And the teacher kinda chuckled and said, "You should probably ask your dad." Added, "Antony, guys. It's Antony."
Silent scan.
The classmate of mine, call him Guy, had a hearing aid, but also this device for teachers to hang around their neck, which sent the audio straight to him, so he didn't have to filter out the background noise. Early day cheap hearing aids weren't the best. Anyway, one maths lesson the teacher sets us group work and goes out of the room for some reason, tells us to get on with it. About a minute later Guy starts to laugh so hard tears come down his face. Naturally we were all very intrigued, and he just took out his hearing aid and passes it to someone. The teacher was dropping the loudest shit I have ever heard, grunting, groaning loud splashes and wet farts. It was sickening and majestic. She came back in and we all lost it. TLDR heard stern maths teacher, drop horrifying shit summoned Cthulhu.
Silent scan.
I remember a substitute teacher that we had for a few days when I was in middle school. She was pretty overweight, and one day she grabbed a chair from an empty desk to help someone out with their assignment, when suddenly we heard a loud crash. One of the legs on the chair had broken and she was flat on her back. It was hard not to laugh, but what made it even worse is as she was getting up, she ended up farting very loudly. The entire class erupted in a fit of laughter, and she had to leave the classroom because she was so embarrassed.
Silent scan.
In 8th grade health class, my teacher was demonstrating how to properly strap someone into a stretcher. She was a smoke show. The dude being strapped in popped a rock-hard bone dog as she was leaning over him. This was a class of around 50 immature middle school students all staring at him. He just laid there strapped and unable to move with an awkward beaner. He apologized over and over as even our sexy teacher tried not to laugh as she unstrapped him. I still get secondhand embarrassment thinking about it.
Silent scan.
Oh, I got this one. This one kid in 7th grade during study time lets out one of the loudest wettest farts I've ever heard. It scared him so much that he jumped up in his seat, and when he came back down the front legs of the desk split forward and the entire thing slams on the ground. Everyone is now staring in complete confusion as he raises his hand. The teacher, "Frankie, did you have something to say?" "Frankie, it was me." Everyone lost their shit.
Silent scan.
In my trig class, the teacher asked to see one student's math book because apparently it was a different edition than everyone else's. So the student tried tossing the book to the teacher, but instead he threw it underhanded with a lot of speed on it. Now there's a 5-pound book coming at my teacher's head at high velocity, so she ducks out of the way and inadvertently headbutted the top of her desk with a hard thud. The book slammed against the wall and made a loud clapping sound. The teacher was okay after a few minutes, and the student was known as book chucker for the rest of the year.
Silent scan.
In my freshman Spanish class, we were all supposed to bring in something related to Spain, the Spanish-speaking world, and talk about it in front of class. One kid, who was both a total douche and insanely stupid, brought a vibrator and said, "I shit you not, this is real. This is a back massager I found in my mom's sock drawer." He did not understand why this was hilarious. He also once brought in popcorn, and when we asked what it had to do with Spanish, she said, "I don't know. Can we eat it now?"
Silent scan.
I was in 6th grade when my pediatrician held a one-time only, hour-long sex ed seminar for us. It was very informative and honestly pretty advanced for a rural Texas community in the mid-80s. He lectured us for about a half hour on pregnancy, STDs, how-tos, etc. It was great. However, the room went dead silent, followed by a lot of laughter, when this one kid, following the how pregnancy works bit, asks, "If I had sex with a dog, could it get pregnant?"
Silent scan.